giving us new anxieties, new things to think about. But we made it. We made it without a significant outbreak on campus, very little transmission on campus. And so it's been a good semester. We've achieved a lot, and I have really seen how hard people have been working and how people have stepped up to keep things running smoothly in the face of an unprecedented number of departures. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then even just this morning, how quickly people were able to pivot to teaching online, working online, because we had a power failure, thanks to Bill and his team and Dave and his team for managing that for us, and we were back online pretty quickly. So yeah, every day is interesting. Not every day is easy, most aren't, but I really appreciate how much people are really doing to keep us moving forward as a community. So thank you all very much for that. I'm gonna highlight a few things based on some questions that we've gotten, things that we've been hearing. But before we do that, I wanted to turn it over to some of our cabinet members to quickly talk about some highlights and express some gratitude for all the work that everyone's been doing. Rennie.
Hello. Hello out there in TV land. So I just want to start by thanking faculty members for everything that you have done. You made the transition back to in-person instruction this semester just as smoothly as we made the transition to remote instruction back in March of 2020. And I really appreciate everybody's great work to make this semester as much of a productive semester as it could possibly be for students. And I also especially want to acknowledge the additional emotional labor that faculty have been doing, because I know that you are all coping with the situations in your own lives and families, and also coping with a semester in which there has been an extraordinarily high amount of absences among students, turning in work late, dealing with students dealing with the issues in their own lives. And I want to thank everybody for their flexibility and their compassion in dealing with students. And I have heard some really great things from students about the dealings that they've had with faculty this semester. So my thank yous out to the faculty.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to give a shout out to all of our students who are still doing research in these really challenging times, particularly graduate students. They had a hard time during the pandemic, not being able to be in the labs, and now have just come back and just been amazing. And our undergraduate students, you know, being a research institution, we're able to provide amazing research opportunities for a whole bunch of our undergraduate students. They couldn't do that during the pandemic, and they would sitting at home reading literature papers and analyzing data, just showing amazing resiliency. And when they came back into the labs and working with faculty, they've just done amazing jobs. I want to highlight a couple people. 3 of our students, undergraduate students, won research awards at the WSU System-Wide Research Week. Keegan Sanchez in engineering, Emily Dale in neuroscience, and Olivia Milano in neuroscience, all won amazing awards. And then 4 of our science and math and engineering students graciously presented at the Murdoch Undergraduate Science Conference a couple weeks ago. This was so cool for them. There were like almost 300 people there. Brianna Sheffield, Emily Doppenberg, Roseanne Barras, and Randy Richards all were just amazing representatives of WSU Vancouver. So thanks all of you for being resilient and being able to still take on these amazing opportunities at WSU Vancouver.
Feels weird without the applause in between, so feel free. Either now, yes. There we go. Good morning, everyone. And I'm here to not only talk about some of the accomplishments of student affairs, but also some individual thank yous. And I could spend the rest of our time thanking each and every staff member, but wanted to highlight a few and highlight just a few accomplishments. It really goes back to our August and being down significantly, and the push to get students registered, to get students in classrooms, to register them, to find space and online, and determining what is some online, hybrid, and all of the changes, an incredible turnaround and pivot. I know we're going to eventually stop using that word, but just that lift is so important, and was so important and continues to be. The vaccination requirement and having that shift and the work being done, the work that is still being done, with religious exemption reviews, with the advertising and marketing around really supporting our students, the advisors, then success coaches that are working with students to get those off, and support in our health center with students. And one of our big accomplishments of Student Affairs is the acquisition of a talent search grant, which we'll see put in action very soon with the hiring of some of those staff, and really reaching out in the community and meeting our institutional goal of serving Southwest Washington. And so for some individual praise, wanted to highlight a few individuals, namely first, Caleb Hopkins, and just the amazing work in holding together OSI and during a difficult transitional time for students as well as staff, and helping students get back into student leadership positions. And there was a gap, those of you who have been around in that area, the gap of the transition of leadership after and during the pandemic was difficult. And so having somebody there that is a rock that can really support students is important. Cheyenne Reyes, out of our Student Success and ELCA team, just incredible leadership shown during a period of transition and supporting students, the curriculum development and support, and just the energy brought to work. And congratulations soon on a transition in their family. Carmen Herrera. Carmen is one of our newer staff and brings life to a place that is so functional in many ways, but just that life and energy brought and welcoming of others is important. And then I said a little bit about our transition to online classroom adjustments, but Jenny Kincaid in our registrar's office, a person that many people don't get to see, and I fortunately get to see some of the work being done. The result is all around us, with students and staff and faculty getting their classroom and space and everything organized. And again, during an incredible transition period. Those are just some individuals that I wanted to highlight, in addition to the entire division and the work, and always, and most importantly, our students.
Good morning. Dominic is always a tough act to follow. I'm Bill Hooper with Facility Services. Thank you all for coming back to campus. It's great to see you here again. We haven't been just sitting around watching the grass grow and occasionally cutting it while you've been gone. We've been busy, but we did appreciate the fact that we had lower electrical bills while all that heat load and power load was at your houses, not here. Thank you very much for that. But we did also find that we have to burn more natural gas when you're not here, and especially when the students aren't here, because we need the body heat to help warm up the buildings. So now that everybody's back, our boilers can rest again and get back to normal. While you were gone, the 35 members of your facility services team have been busy. We've posted the COVID sign of the month. If you're a member of the COVID sign of the month club, I would dare say that I've got the best collection, and I take everyone down just as fast as we can. We keep the current ones up. I want to express our thanks to the Accessibility Council in Pullman. Across all WSU campuses, they made the new ADA compliant path around the library. They made that the #1 priority for all campuses. So we got almost $100,000 in funding for that job, which was about $150,000, and it's great to have that new path around the library, enhancing the access to our multiple buildings. Our BAM team, our Building Architectural Maintenance team, was busy on campus repainting and touching up lots of halls and walls and places that you may or may not have noticed, but I hope that it just enhances the overall look of the place. They also replaced the carpet in the classrooms in the ground floor of the McClaskey building. All the classrooms down there, we took out all the carpet, put in new while you were gone. Our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing team replaced lighting in lots of areas. Maybe you've got a new LED dimmable light in your office or in your classrooms. If you don't yet, we've got pallets of them, and they're still coming. We're not done with this. We're going to continue that business, and that helps reduce our maintenance costs as well as our electrical consumption on an ongoing basis. We've got new boilers in the science building, McClaskey, and the library that makes us more efficient. We burn less natural gas. It improves the reliability of our systems. But I can tell you that we're not, and the people in McClaskey building will tell you that we're not just replacing equipment just for the fun of it. We make sure we get every bit of life out of a piece of equipment that we can. Specifically, the water heater there, we got 102% of the life expectancy out of it. So for a couple of months, they went without hot water while we were stealing a water heater from the classroom building that they're not going to get, that McClaskey did. More to come on that. Thank you for the help on getting a successful grant application from the Department of Natural Resources. We received funding to develop a tree inventory, which is now part of the Geographic Information System in Pullman that's available online. Go to the webpage, look for Cougar Trails. You can find our tree inventory. You can find all the trees that are in the core of campus are now in that inventory, thanks to the Department of Natural Resources. We've provided Cougar Clean to the classrooms and kept up with those signs. And we reaffirmed our cleaning protocols for high-touch surfaces. And one of the most exciting things for us to do is we've been helping in the development of the drawings for the Life Sciences building. And we're very much looking forward to the development of that building as it comes online just a couple years from now. And Michael, I think you're next. Or maybe not.
My apologies, Mel. I did not know I was next, but I'm happy to be next. I want to give a shout out to IT. Technology obviously played a big part of everyone's lives over the last 2 years, last year and a half in particular. And the team has done a fantastic job. We got so much praise for the Zoom help desk, people being able to go online and get help. We're continuing with that. The live streaming that we're doing here right now with Scott and Chris and Jessica and others that have been doing that for the last 18 months. A big part of all of our success in the classroom and in meetings like this. So a big shout out to them. And we had a big power outage this morning on campus, if anybody noticed. And it was the smoothest power outage in technology we have had since my entire time here. So a big shout out to Steve Rathbun, Marty Randolph, Patrick Ryder, and of course Patty Paris, who leads that team, for the work that they've done to get us into this space. So we had internet the whole time that we were down. We had our safety and security things going. The data center had no interruptions. So electricity worked, Bill, thank you. But a big shout out to all of the IT team. Clearly technology is a big part of our success, and we are very thankful for each of our members. So thanks, Mel.
Thanks, Mike.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julia Getchell. I'm the Vancouver Director of Human Resources. And I'm here to give a shout out to our wonderful staff. On behalf of the campus leadership, I want to take a moment to thank all the WSU Vancouver staff for their excellent work during this semester and 2021 and the pandemic. Our civil service and administrative professional staff continue to provide outstanding service to our students, each other, and the community. Despite the challenges of the pandemic and other things that have happened in the last year and this semester, we're in what some people call the Great Resignation. As you know, we have had many of our dear colleagues depart for other opportunities during this semester and during 2021. And we grieve the loss of their friendship of our coworkers, not only on this campus, but throughout the WSU Vancouver system, or WSU system. For some of you, this change in staffing has brought more work. And so thank you for picking up the load and taking on additional duties to keep campus moving smoothly and providing outstanding service to our students to help them succeed in their goals. In addition, many staff and managers have taken on additional responsibilities by serving on the countless search committees that we've had in 2021 to replace our beloved colleagues. You've not only taken on the work of selecting and hiring new people, but also training, onboarding them, and making them feel like they're part of this community that we call WSU Vancouver. So thank you for your work. So campus leadership thanks our staff from the bottom of our hearts for your hard work and your dedication. Keep up the good work and go Van Cougs.
So I know HR is a topic that is on everyone's mind, and we'll come back to that in just a bit. I want to touch on a few things. Some of these are my own, some of these were brought to me by others, and some of them were questions that we got at the from people online. I just want to go back, it's 3 weeks ago now, but to the week of November 13th. This was a huge week for WSU Vancouver, and I there are a lot of people to thank, but a lot of things to talk about. We started that week on Saturday, on the 13th, with our first face-to-face preview day in 2 years? 2 years. It was just extraordinary. There was so much life on campus. People were so happy to be here. This room was filled, and there was just tons of overflow, and so it made me very hopeful for what our enrollments will look like next fall, and really was just a wonderful day. And so I want to thank everyone who came out for that particular enrollment team for what was just a terrific day, and people noticed, people from off campus. We also had our groundbreaking on Thursday of that week, and once again we had a huge turnout from campus. Well over 100 people showed up. So grateful for that. But our Board of Regents really, in the same way that on Saturday, people said, boy, this is really a community that cares. People are here. I'm getting my questions answered. On Thursday, the Board of Regents said, wow, I don't know if we've seen this many people come to a groundbreaking. And it was just really wonderful to see it noticed what a special community we have. In addition, we hosted the Board of Regents meeting that week. And the other thing that's important news is that Kirk spent the week with us helping to raise money for the Sciences Building, and we had some really good, important meetings as a part of that, with some announcements to come before too long, I think. I would say that the week of November 13th, the successes that we saw on that week really put us in a stronger position as a campus. It raised our profile. The coverage in the Columbian all week long was amazing. There was really positive feedback that we were getting from all across Southwest Washington, and that's really important as we continue to evolve as a campus. The other thing that was really important that week was during the Regents meeting, it really focused on equity and inclusion. All the committees had some connection to the equity work happening at WSU, and over again, WSU Vancouver was called out as a leader in this work, and that's a tribute to the work that Obi leads us on, that Felix, that the BD, but also how our campus pulls together and commits to equity for our campus community, for our students, for our faculty and staff. And in calling out people, I should also call out ASWSUV, which has also been very, very committed to equity work last year and this year. With that in mind, a few things about BaCE that continues to evolve. Building a community of equity, our award-winning program, is in its fourth year. And at this point, 70% of our campus community has gone through some BaCE training, and a third of our campus community has received the BaCE certificate. So that commitment that we see is really across campus and appreciated. And so thank you all who participate and for your commitment to this work. Also, it takes a village, or at least a committee, to do this work and prepare BaCE and develop the workshops. And so I want to thank all the members of the BaCE committee as well for their work. One of the things that has been happening over the last couple of years is that there's been an increasing demand for us to bring BaCE external to WSU Vancouver. What we're calling the BaCE Enrichment Series is really developed for non-WSU Vancouver groups. And we get calls, OB gets calls, NARIC gets calls, and that's been really terrific. And we have been able to deliver on some of those requests. And so recently, Workforce Southwest just completed a whole series of BaCE workshops for their entire staff. Community groups like Vancouver City Council, the Fort Vancouver Regional Library, Lift Up Portland, WSU groups like System Marcom staff, System librarians, WSU Foundation employees, and a lot of us help make these connections and put things together, but really it is almost entirely OB who delivers those. So let's give him a round of applause since we're calling out people. A round of appreciation is what that was. Thank you for that work. The next thing that I want to talk about is our strategic plan. It continues to evolve. We basically have a rough draft of the plan at this moment. Over the semester, many of our groups submitted objectives, strategies for achieving those objectives, and Campus Council met last week to prioritize those strategies. And so that's where it is at the moment. Before we break for the semesters, the vice chancellors and I will be getting together and looking at that prioritization and making some decisions about what will be included into the strategic plan. We have a Campus Council retreat coming up the second week in January. It will focus primarily on enrollment. And if you have questions about enrollment, I'll take those in a bit. But it will focus on enrollment and a little bit on strategic planning. We hope to have what is our last draft of the strategic plan for review then. And then February 1st is the state of the campus address, and we will debut the finished plan on that day. So that work comes along. I think it is a combination of what we need, the resiliency we need to see right now, and what are the strategies for recovering, stabilizing our enrollment, but also forward thinking over the next 5 years, and what do we look like as a campus community over the next 5 years. Marcelo, Sherry, Elias, thank you very much for your leadership in that space. Everyone who has participated in the campus conversations and the goal groups, thank you very much for your work on that. I think we are stronger because the community has pulled together on this plan, and I'm looking forward to everyone seeing it early in the new year. All right, let's talk about work life. because I know that is on everyone's mind. That's what people want to talk to me about when I am walking across campus. The questions that we received in advance were related to work life. And so I want to spend a little bit of time on this, and then happy to take any questions about that, or about anything, actually. This I know, people are concerned about the number of their colleagues that they see leaving. They're concerned about the impact of the enrollment decline on our budget and on their jobs. With most telework agreements expiring in the next couple of weeks, people are telling me they want to know about what's possible for the spring. And so let me address each of these pieces. Let me start by talking about the scope of the issue. We have overused unprecedented a lot. This is unprecedented for WSU, and for WSU Vancouver in particular. When Julie and I have our one-on-one meetings, she will start by, we've hired 5 people. There are 8 searches that are open. There are 9 positions that are about to be posted. And so I get a rundown of where we are. But let's talk about this over the last couple of years since the pandemic started. In 2020, we had 35 departures. In 2021, we've had 39 departures of our colleagues, probably for 74 different reasons. But that is a huge, huge loss to our campus community. We have filled 21 positions in 2020 and 40 positions in 2021. Some of those positions we filled in 2021 were people we hired in 2020, who really, I think, struggled to start on our campus during the first year. So while we have had a lot of departures, we have also had a lot of hiring, and as Julie was saying earlier, that in itself puts stress on the campus. Not only are we doing the jobs of other people, but we're also serving on search committees. And I understand this personally just a little bit with Lynn's departure and me sort of thinking about what it means to be interim CFO and chancellor at the same time, and totally understanding that my workload may have increased like this, but Julia's workload and Bill's workload and Diane's workload and Sarah's workload and Dave's workload have increased hugely as a result, because I can tell you I am no. And so they have had to carry the brunt of Lynn's departure. And that's one example. I could stay here for the rest of the day and give you example after example of where this has happened. But some things, we are hiring. I know that there's been great concern among the faculty about the fact that we haven't been hiring, but a very few positions, faculty positions. Before the end of this semester, we will release additional faculty positions for hiring, and in the spring semester, we will release another batch of faculty positions to be searched in the 2022-2023 academic year. So we are not a failing institution. I have heard from some people concerned that we may actually be a closing institution. This is not true. This is not close to anything. We have significant reserves that we can use to get through this enrollment decline. We are are down students, but the crisis that we were coming up on in the fall semester, people pulled together and we didn't have an enrollment crisis. There are issues related to the fall, particularly a significant number, to the spring, particularly related to a significant number of COVID holds on student records. But we have advisors and enrollment staff who are calling those students on a daily basis to work with them to get them vaccinated in time for the spring semester. And so there is a lot of work that is going on. That doesn't mean that there isn't a lot of stress on our workforce. There is a huge amount of stress on our workforce. We need to be cautious. That is what I would say. We can't simply, every time a position becomes vacant, replace it. If we are down 300 or 400 students, that changes the number of sections we need. It changes what we need to do. And so replacing every position that gets vacated is probably not the best strategy at this moment in time, but that is not the same thing as being an institution in crisis. It's doing what we're supposed to do and be thoughtful about the resources that we have. And so I want to assure you that we are okay and that we still thrive. We still are presenting an extraordinary education to our students and doing incredible research and building our workforce back to where it needs to be. And so we're being cautious and we're being thoughtful about releasing positions, but as I just suggested, we're releasing a lot of positions. We also, as we release those positions, we know that if we release 3 positions in a particular area, that there aren't enough people to serve on search committees for those positions. And so we need to be strategic as we go through and release those positions. But we are releasing positions. We are trying our best to build back our faculty and staff in an environment that is completely different. One of the conversations that we were having, it's Monday, so it wasn't this week, last week, is that, positions where we would sometimes get 30 or 40 applications, we're getting 7 to 10. That there are some positions where we are getting 2 or 3 applications. So things are different. Things are definitely different. We have to approach them differently. But once again, that doesn't mean we're in crisis. It means that we're evolving as an institution, and we need to be thoughtful and strategic as we do this. Our budget situation is not the best that it's been in due to the enrollment decline, but our reserves are very healthy. And we're prepared to face what we're facing without layoffs. We're currently not considering a significant downsize in our budget. We are definitely not, as I said earlier, and some have speculated, talking about closing the campus. That's simply not anything that is remotely on the table, and you will never hear me speak of it again, unless it's later in my notes, but it won't be in my subsequent notes. All right, it also means we can't be complacent. We particularly can't be complacent about enrollment. This is my transition to teleworking. We have always been committed to serving our students, and that's one of the things that I love about WSU Vancouver is at orientation, I can look around the room at the faculty and staff who are there, and every person in that room is committed to serving our students. It's wonderful. But we're in a constantly changing environment, and our students need some different things from us. They want to approach us differently. And we need to be responsive. And I don't even know what those things are because they're changing so constantly. But we need to trust our colleagues in academic affairs. We need to trust our colleagues in student affairs and enrollment, and really serve our students the way that they need to be served. Which brings me to teleworking. So we have about 75 or so staff with telework agreements that are expiring at the end of this semester. And I know there is some anxiety, and people are definitely anxious to get them renewed so that they can plan for the spring semester. I expect that by the end of the week, we will be in position to work on renewing those telework agreements. There are two things that have been holding this up, and I want to address both of them. The first of them is IT. Not that IT has been holding this up, but that IT issues have been holding this up. Data security, network security. When we moved in the when we moved in the spring of 2020, people just brought stuff home. They filled out quick telework agreements, and so what technology are you taking home? A computer. That's difficult for us for inventory control, for example. And so we need to refine that a little bit. And so when you go to complete your telework agreement for the spring semester, you'll find that there's a new form, and that form asks for consistent information across everyone with what specific WSU computer you will be taking home with you. And also, it will ask you to agree to some security measures that will provide security to our network. So we need you to VPN in, for example. These are things that are all possible without really significant change from what has been happening, but by doing them collectively, it will really increase the security of our network and of our data. So that's one piece. The other thing, and we have a conversation about this tomorrow, so I could be told that I'm totally wrong about this, but it comes from my own observations. I think we need to do a better job of spreading telework out across the week. Currently, 90% of those telework on at least on Fridays, other days, but at least on Fridays. Our campus has always been quiet. For those of you who predate me, you know that we only had Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, Thursday classes. The year that I started was the year that we were ordered to move to 5-day-a-week classes, and that's when we built a Monday, Friday schedule. And that schedule has evolved over time. But one of the reasons for that was the implications of what the state sees when they see that we don't have activity on campus on Friday. They see that we have huge capacity on Fridays for our facilities. And so the question then becomes, why do you need a new life sciences building, for example, when you have so much unused time on your campus? And so I think that we just need to live in our facilities 5 days a week, not 4 days a week. And particularly when other campuses with very significant needs are meeting on their campuses 6 days a week and well into the evenings. And so just what we have to report to the state about classroom utilization, about office utilization is changed when we don't have people on campus on Fridays. And I think it's an opportunity. It is an opportunity to be robust across the week. And it is frustrating for students when they come on Fridays, and because for a lot of them who don't have classes, it's when they're coming to try to get some of their administrative work done. And so I just think it's something we need to consider. It's a longer conversation, but that's part of what we're trying to finalize with supervisors before we put out the form. So those are the two things that we're looking at. And that should be wrapped up actually within the next 36 hours. All the meetings are either, well, I guess, so we should be able to wrap this up pretty quickly. Which isn't to say that I have any anxiety about people on telework agreements. I think there are some issues, some small places where it hasn't worked, but overall, I think it has been worthwhile for our campus to provide that kind of flexibility for our employees, and I'm happy that we have been able to do it. And from the start, this was the year that we wanted to take to get it right. And so if you see forms evolving, if you see the kinds of questions that I'm posing coming before you, it's because we would like at the end of this year to be able to move to more long-term telework agreements that go beyond just one semester. So that is also where we are on telework agreements. So I understand that people are anxious about a lot of things. There are so many things going on right now that any one of which would increase our anxiety. You know, throw 100 of them together, and it's an anxious time. It has also been wonderful to be back together as a community, to be able to talk about that anxiety. And share spaces with each other, and we still have work to do. But I want to thank everyone for the work that has been going on, for the commitment to WSU Vancouver, and the great joy that you all bring, that our students bring to our campus community every single day. And so, with that, I will happily elaborate on anything I talked about or answer any questions that you might have about things that I did not mention. And since we're streaming, please wait for the microphone. Who has a question?
Mel, a question that I have is, I know there's been a lot of work around equity, diversity, and inclusion policies and practices. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Sure. So the Zoe Heigl-Strong and I were given the honor to chair a task force on equitable policies and practices. OE has been a member of that as well. We've had representatives from many, from all the campuses and from a lot of different units, including athletics. And it has been an extraordinary committee. The work that group has done, which will be winding up, last meeting is on Wednesday, has been really to develop an equity impact assessment tool that we're going to ask everyone to use as we develop new policies, as we go through various procedures around hiring, around decision making, and so that is our hope. So right now it is into the new strategic plan for us, and the work that we've been doing has been going through that equity lens. The Board of Regents reviewed it on the 18th of November and endorsed it. And so in the spring semester, you will see it receive a more widespread circulation and use. What else?
Mel, we have a question from the audience, or that was submitted previously. Do you see any changes coming related to mask requirements?
No. I don't. I think that for the moment, WSU and the state are comfortable with where those requirements are. And so I really don't think that we're going to see much change in COVID policy, at least through the spring semester. It would be hard for me to imagine that. I think we're working on some things to make things easier. We've had a few little glitches around people who didn't meet the vaccination requirements being hired before we verified met the vaccination requirements. And so HR has done a significant update to Workday so that we can approve those in advance of people's start day. And so I think there's some things like that that we may see change to facilitate the work that we're doing, but I don't think that we will see much change to the requirements that we're under at the moment. Anything else? All right, last chance. Yeah.
It's probably a question for Dominic. I wonder if you could talk maybe about discoveries you've made in the reasons for the drop in enrollment, because I imagine you've done a lot of research to try to understand people's reasons for not coming, and whether or not we expect things to recover, or if this is a long-term, just the new way things will be. That'd be interesting to me.
Thanks, Aaron.
Before Dominic answers that, I just wanted to say, Aaron, our drop in enrollment correlates with a dramatic rise in enrollment for Global Campus. Some students have simply elected to go all online. So that is a factor. And I'll let Dominic.
So I think that there's a certain cadre of students that have chosen and really taken that have taken a liking to online education. So there's that. I think with the transfer enrollments, we have 2 feeder institutions primarily for our transfers, and they've had significant declines in enrollment. And so until they recover, we're not going to see that same recovery in terms of our transfer population. And anything coming up around the bend, and you know, Laurel and I just had a meeting, and there's whole conferences dedicated to what's happening next. There's a population plateau coming with the K-12 group coming through set for 2025. So there's a ton of different factors going on. What we're doing in response to some of that plateauing of the population, some of the declines we're seeing with community colleges, is trying to nurture the students who otherwise maybe wouldn't have considered college or wouldn't have considered WSU Vancouver. And so when I talked about the talent search grant and some of the outreach going and really feeding that pipeline of students and encouraging engagement, involvement, research, all the things that our faculty are doing, all the things that we're talking about with our admission staff, and really supporting students and their needs in that pipeline to come through. That's how we're trying to respond to some of this. And really looking at the students that we have here, the drop in enrollment is not measured simply in fewer students from Clark or what have you. It's also the students who are here who didn't find connection home, the class schedule that they needed to manage, the daycare, the everything else, and we're losing some of those students. So the student experience is an important one as they come here. There's a ton more effort that's put into recruiting a student, and the time, effort, energy, finances than it takes to keep a student who's already here. And so we need to look at ourselves across the board and what it is that we can do in supporting the student success of the folks who are already here.
I just so want to make a joke about the COVID vaccine magnetizing Dominic and that having the impact on but I don't want to be responsible for misinformation, so I will refrain from making that joke. I think Dominic is absolutely right. So is Rennie, that the enrollment is, there are a number of factors, the community college piece of this, but our incoming enrollments were relatively flat from year to year. The decline in our enrollment was students who didn't come back, and particularly first to second year students didn't come back, who didn't like their experience online and didn't come back their second year. And so that's some of the work that we need to do, and to bring those students back, to not let them slip through the cracks. But it's going to require much more one-on-one engagement than I think we have had historically around our recruiting. And that means that it's a bigger issue than just our academic advisors and our enrollment team can manage. And so that's the work that you'll be hearing about over the next few weeks as well. All right, the big takeaways for today. Thank you very much for everything that you are doing to support our students, to support our campus community. We are being cautious and thoughtful, but we are not in crisis. We are not a failing institution. We are, in fact, a thriving institution in the midst of so much crap being thrown at us. And that's pretty extraordinary. So thank you all very much. Please have a good holiday season. Take care of yourselves over the break. And to our students, good luck with exams. To our faculty, good luck with exams. And if we don't see you before then, we will see you in the new year. Thank you very much, and go Cougs.
I know I was